MDK around the Baron.
And welcome back to the Riot Games arena after G2 picks up the win today. And I have with me Mickey, LEC MVP from last year. Took you a while to pick Zyra. Let's talk about the champion, shall we?
Yeah, well, I guess better late than never, right?
Yeah.
Like nowadays, it actually feels a bit stronger than before because the new support item actually makes it so you have a purpose. Like the new one, just like, I don't know, there's like some max % health HP. And it's very easy to proc with the Zyra passive or Zyra plants. So yeah, sometimes there's some cases where Zyra can be very strong.
Doesn't change that you still die a lot on the champion. Not you, but like you Zyra players,
okay.
you mean, yeah. So something you can't deal with, I guess. But like, if you look at the support diversity we had so far, I think about the LCK, where KT roster played way in the bot lane, very situational, I think. All the double Enchanter support meta that we saw previously, the Zyra now. What do you think of the changes on the bot lane and the diversity that you can have and how much fun you can have on bot right now?
Yeah, it feels like nowadays you can kind of play anything and it can work. And the new super items can give a lot of creativity, I guess, for new champions as well. Still not tried the way. The way looked kind of fun, so might have to pick it up for next
What
time.
did you think about this, actually? Because I've talked to a few supports in the league and they were like, meh, I don't know, but the champion like this in its state right now, do you think in some situations it can work?
I think after the buffs, where his E is actually a useful spell, like his shield basically, it can work in a few cases, and I think Bear played it pretty well. So it looked like it had a purpose.
All
So
right.
just like a long range, pretty good mage. Yeah.
Well, let's see what G2 can cook in the next week, maybe bringing this champion, but I want to take a step back and talk about the whole team because in the off-season, it was difficult to predict what G2 was going to do, and when I found out that you guys were going to stick together, I was like, where is going to be the improvement? Where is it going to come from? And you requested Duffman, who you know really well. Tell me about him specifically and why you asked for him.
Well, I wasn't really sure what we can get better at,
Yeah.
but I spent some time in the off-season with Duff, and we were talking about the game a lot because Worlds was still going on while we both got eliminated. And then I realized that he actually knew a lot about the game and stuff that we never talked about throughout the year. So then, yeah, it just seemed like a good idea to try to bring him in. And so far, I feel like our mid-game is like 100 times better than it was at Worlds. I mean, 100 times 0 is still 0, but it was much better than before,
fine.
at least.
Yeah, it's improving, but at what cost? And I know that I'm going to be a bit dramatic here, but looking at the first games from G2, there seems to be more effort put into the mid-game at the expense of the rest of the game. Can you elaborate on this? It's the first games, of course, but still, what happened?
Yeah, the early games are looking a bit rough right now, but the bright side is that even though we lose those, we still win later on because we can get advantages from mid-game and just moving around the map. So that's a good sign at least. So when we do win an early game, it's going to be smooth sailing. So yeah.
Fantastic. G2 fans, brace yourself. When it's coming, it's going to hit hard. Anything to say about Yike? He's waiting on the other side with Shox and the rest of the crew. Any praise or not for your
I think his vibe was really good. I hope I can see more of that in the future.
All right, well, I hope I can see more Zyra. Thank you so much, Mickey.
Thank you.
Congrats on taking the win today.
Thank you.
And Shox, back to you.
Thank you. We didn't hear what he said. What do you think he said, Yike?
I think he said that my vibe was good. I hope he said that at least.
Yeah, yeah.
And his Zyra was okay.
I'm sure that's what we heard.
Very kind right now.
No, I mean,
No,
I
we'll
have to
see.
be nice.
But I do want to kind of parlay the discussion that Laure had with Mickey, also with yourself, Yike, and with Goldborg. It's almost like, you know, the monkey paw where we're working on our mid-game and we're winning from our mid-game, but your early game is just falling apart. Do you think it's as simple as it's always going bad because we're not playing well, or has it been different reasons every game why the early game has not really worked?
I think it's a bit of both. I think we play the early games a bit weird right now. I think last year we were actually very good at early games, but this year I think we just do we just mess up a lot of times. Like one mistake and then the enemies actually snowball well. I think the teams are playing much better as well this year than last year. So we do get punished in early games and yeah, it just makes it harder for us.
And I think it's what you're looking at right here, because it's what you're saying. It's not like someone's just walking into an enemy, invade when they don't have power or anything. It's just a bad trade from Mickey in the beginning that allows Alvaro and Super to get bot lane prior. Eliora's done 3 camps, and then suddenly Yike's getting invaded here. And despite you having been invaded, you've always been able to bounce back. I remember your Viego game as well down the bot side. But do you find it harder to jungle, at least in the early game here, where it's been going as, well, let's say as bad as it has so far?
Yeah, I mean, usually I am the one invading all the time, and now I got invaded. They had the pry on every lane, so I think it was a good punish by them because I can't do much. They just steal my red buff, and yeah, that's what happens. But Yeah, overall, I think, yeah, I mean, I just don't want to get invaded anymore.
that's perfectly fair.
Yeah, jungler, stop picking on Yike. Regardless, though, you recovered when we look at the entire game, so that's good to know. We do still have a couple of replays of Mad doing well as well, but why do you think you couldn't stop the bleeding early on? Because do you think it was recoverable already from that point, or did you as a team decide, no, we're going to have to wait until a bit later in the game to take over?
Yeah, I think we just decided to wait a bit because they were strong in bot lane, they were strong in jungle, and Nico is also stronger than us in early game. So we just have to relax. I think try to not make as many mistakes as we did, and then just try to snowball on like the other sides. Like we killed Gwen one time, and then we started killing Gwen more, and we just found her, and that was nice.
Yeah, you were just farming Gwen a little bit.
Yeah, we kept seeing that on side lane as well. I think a lot of that does come through Caps. I think despite top and bot lane of G2 having some issues, at least in the early game every now and then, Caps, bar one game, has been super good at staying even or ahead to actually pray through side lanes and allow them to get picks.
Are you setting this up for me, or he is the key player of the game, actually?
Oh, wow, is he? I didn't know that. That's unbelievable. Wow.
Anyway, he is. I think he got maybe a little bit of flack last week. I'm not sure. Maybe it was
One
just
game
on
I
the
thought
internet.
was like, yeah.
Well, but better now.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I think his Azir was great. I thought his Nico has been great too, and it's just like one of those champions where he's allowed to thrive. So I think for now, Yike and Caps has been the most stable, at least coming out of week one and also going into this game. And I think you can just take a look at it and it'll come through. You seem very happy about that, but it's true. But my question still goes back to, we're not seeing much difference from the G2 early game. Like, what steps are gonna have to be taking now moving forward as well if you want to fix these issues?
I think for sure have to be more disciplined. I think we go for fights that we actually shouldn't take. Like, for example, the 3-3 we had bot lane where we died, and after that they started snowballing. So we just have to be, I think we just have to be more disciplined. And
is that because you got cocky from last year, or is it something entirely else?
Might be that we're a bit more cocky this year.
Okay, that's fair.
Hey, you can't work on everything at the same time. I want to take a look at the Baron, where you really got back into the game as well. And Yike, I'd like you to talk through this as well, because I think not necessarily all the right decisions were taken by Mad Lions Koi either, probably. So you can talk us through this replay.
Yeah, here I think we called to cancel their bases, and we were looking for them because we know they want a base. We found Gwen, which is very nice. Got a pick here, and we were like, yeah, let's pressure Nash because this is the best moment. And I think we call that. I don't know if we can turn. I think we don't have a zero. We have Varus ult. But I think BB said that he wanted to stop the Viego here. So he's going all in here to try to stop Viego, so we can just get the Nash like we did. And then I think Nico went in alone, and they split up, and we just win the game. Caps can just freely hit them, and he's just
taking over.
I think that's where the difference really come in a game like this. Like, despite G2 having a worse early game, the veterancy still shows. The mid game, as you all have been talking about, still shows. And I think even more so, the team fight supremacy also shows. I think in the last Baron as well, they throw everything on BB. Not the one we just saw, but they try and Renato ult, they only get BB. They try and Nico ult, they only get BB. And then Caps is just standing back free to hit. So they still have that. I mean, you can even see it in the goal graph. What is that goal graph right there? Like, out of nowhere, they're just straight back into it. Then they're out of it, and then they're straight back into it. But it's a classic G2 game, but I think it just shows that team fighting in the mid game has become really good, and at least that's a nice sign.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy that we improved a lot on this because that's probably what we were the worst at Worlds last year. So at least us being good at this now is a good sign because I think we can fix the early game pretty easily.
So you think it's a trust the process?
Yeah.
Trust the process meme? Okay, great. Next up, we do have BDS taking on Fnatic.